Well, hello there. You've somehow tuned into Shift Left, the podcast that's all about not screwing up digital design. I'm your host, Steffi Hogan, designer by day, accidental podcaster by peer pressure. So why am I invading your ear space? 2 reasons. First, because my crusade for accessible design needs more than a conference stage. Apparently people like what I say. Go figure. And second, as someone with ADHD, editing a podcast feels like a less daunting mountain to climb than, say, putting away laundry. Let's chat about the name Shift Left for a second. It's not political, I promise. It's about dragging accessibility out of the we'll deal with it in version 2.0 dungeon and into the daylight of this is the foundation we build on, folks. Because 60% of digital accessibility issues can be solved by good design. So when you tack on accessibility features at the end, you're essentially trying to make amends with a cake after you've already baked it without sugar. It's too late. No one wants that. And here's a slice of backstory. In 2019, I was elbow deep in designing for a cybersecurity group with a color palette that made you yearn for the simplicity of black and white TV. And after a colorblind colleague pleaded for mercy so he could actually use the website, I started to see design as a let's not make life harder for people kind of project. And then 2020 happened. My viewpoint of if you don't show your face on camera, you're being disrespectful, did a full 180. There I was watching my own kid who was dealing with the school's cameras on or bust rule collapse into a tiny human stress ball on the carpet. And that's when I strapped on my virtual boots and marched into the battlefield of accessible design with my battle flag waving for the neurodiverse. And props to my anxiety-ridden offspring for being the catalyst to my enlightenment. I owe her a debt of gratitude. And while I'm at it, also thank you Nolan, Troy, Sandy, and Glenna for planting the seeds of this podcast in my head. Without you, this probably wouldn't be happening either. Now, I'll be dishing out episodes monthly because let's face it, any more frequently, and we both need a break. Maybe consider hitting that subscribe button on whatever app hasn't already sold your data to the highest bidder. Expect deep dives into the good, the not so good, and the what were they thinking of design. I'll bring on guests who actually know what they're talking about, those creating ripples and waves in making the digital space less of a minefield for people who think, see, or hear differently. If that's got your neurons firing, drop me a line, steffi@accessibledesignlab.com. I'm on the lookout for the opinionated, the innovators, the frustrated, and the relieved, all who live and breathe accessibility. Find me on LinkedIn or hit up steffihogan.com if you need a speaker who doesn't just read bullet points off slides. And for the love of learning, check out my accessible design courses at courses.a11yjam.academy. Because who said learning couldn't be a party? Anyway, let's make the digital world less about it works on my machine and more about it works for everyone. Stick around because if you're gonna do something like listen to a podcast, it might as well be this one. Until next time, keep shifting left, because when accessible design is an afterthought, no one wins.